The Supreme Court this morning, in a 5-4 decision, essentially argued that civil rights era legislation has worked, and they overturned a key section of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. A great triumph, a great victory today for the country. And yet, here's how the president reacted, and I quote, "I am deeply disappointed with the Supreme Court's decision today. For nearly 50 years, the Voting Rights Act has helped secure the right to vote for millions of Americans. Today's decision invalidating one of its core provisions upsets decades of well-established practices that help make sure voting is fair, especially in places where voting discrimination has been historically prevalent," end quote. Political Diary editor and Fox News contributor Jason Riley joins me now. Jason, I'm very confused here. I thought this decision was something to celebrate. Why that reaction from the president?
It is something to celebrate, and that's quite a spectacle. The first black president of the United States, reelected last year, appointed the first black attorney general, wants us to believe that nothing has changed in America since 1965, and that we should continue to use 40-year-old data to determine which states need federal oversight when it comes to voting. And that's essentially what the Supreme Court did. They said to Congress, this is 2013, it's not 1965, and you are using very old data to determine who deserves federal oversight. You need to update this data. You didn't do it. And so we're going to find the formula you're using unconstitutional. But one thing that should be pointed out here, Mary, is that is what this does not do. And what we have to keep in mind is that there are permanent parts of the Voting Rights Act, and this decision does nothing for those. If you feel you've been discriminated against, or if a group of people feels they've been discriminated against because of voting laws, they have legal recourse under the Voting Rights Act to appeal
and to sue
and to rectify that.
I want to break this down because you hear phrases like Section 4 and Section 5 bandied around, and I want to put this into plain English. So the court today struck down what's called Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. What specifically does that mean for states that were under this jurisdiction?
Under Section 5, which was intended to be temporary, this was passed in 1965, it said that states with a history of discrimination, if they wanted to make any changes to their voting laws, they had to go to a federal court or the Justice Department to make those changes. Not all states,
just some states.
About 9 states, mostly in the South. Now, the decision as to how they determined which states needed this, what was called preclearance under Section 5, is in Section 4. They put together a formula, and they said if a state can't meet this formula, then they deserve this federal oversight. What the Supreme Court said is that that formula that they're using in Section 4 in order to carry out Section 5 is unconstitutional.
Okay, so does that mean that in effect what the court did today was to strike down all of it? Or could Congress come in and say, no, we're going to come up with a different formula?
Theoretically, Congress could redo the formula it's using in Section 4 in order to continue using Section 5. No one thinks Congress will be able to do this. They think it'll be politically impossible, essentially, to come up with another formula that covers the same states that are currently covered. So effectively, the Supreme Court has struck down Section 5.
Okay, but and we've got about a minute left, judging from the president's remarks just in these last hours, do you believe that the Department of Justice, could they continue to sue states for doing things like putting voter ID laws in place and this kind of thing? Does this decision today affect that?
I think, well, it would be very tough. They'd have to meet the standard. They'd have to go, I believe under Section 2, they would have to meet the standard that says, these can't be discriminatory laws put in place. But this is a success story, as you mentioned in the outset. This is good news. I mean, sometimes federal legislation works as intended. And what we have today, Mary, is in these states that were covered under Section 5, that are covered under Section 5, you have not only black voter registration exceeding white voter registration, but in the last election, you had black voter turnout exceeding white voter turnout. Yet the liberals and the left and the President of the United States wants to pretend like nothing has changed on the voting rights front in 50 years. It is a ridiculous proposition.
It's 2013 here in the real world, but in the White House, it's still 1965. But a great victory today. Political Diary editor, Fox News contributor Jason Riley, thank you so much for being on the show.